Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an updated most overpowered build for Harlowe in Borderlands 4. Now, there were some recent nerfs that happened. Harlowe made out like a bandit here with some of her best weapons getting buffed, and she didn't receive any nerfs across the board. So I'll be showing you how to take down Bloom Reaper and all the hardest content in the game using this crazy build for Harlowe. And one of my favorite weapons, the Hellwalker shotgun, got a pretty nice buff here. And the thing is, with Harlowe, she can literally just face tank float around. As long as she's got her group study there, you can melt Bloom Reaper the Invincible like you see right here. Now, from my testing, this is just as good as all the best cash builds. I think right now, Harlowe and cash at the top after Rafa took that really big nerf previously. Harlowe is also great when you're playing with friends because you can give them their action skill back with the confirmative reality, and it gives it back really quickly. On top of this, there's just so many weapons and items that got buffed with Harlowe's, and even a new class mod that she got with the last update. She's in a really good spot right now, especially because she can get that infinite ammo with the Hellwalker shotgun, and it just shreds that way. But from the start here, level 1, we're going to want to take momentum. Whenever we entangle an enemy, we get increased critical hit damage. Eventually, we do infinite critical hits, so we want to have that because the damage is crazy. We're also going to take neutron decay. Whenever we irradiate an enemy, we're going to get an additional 10% gun damage per stack, 5 stacks for 50% extra gun damage. And then we can go ahead here with the Resonant Cascade. Whenever we do that damage, we get an increase to our action skill damage. So this all comes together. And you can take 1 or 2 points of confirmative reality. I like to go with 2. It's a little bit more, you only really need 1 because this gives your action skill back really quickly. But use shotguns, fast fire ones like the Dark Beast shotgun attachment, you'll get your action skill back pretty much immediately. After this, it's best to go down and come into this middle skill tree here. We're going to take Harlowe's Certainty Principle. So this will give you increased gun handling. So you're going to be much more accurate at range. And it's a noticeable amount. 50% gun handling will make you a lot more accurate. We're also then going to take critical funding. This is where it all comes together because we're going to get infinite critical hits, and this will end up turning into ammunition so we don't run out of ammo. So this is how you use the Hellwalker, which has 2 shots, and you're going to be able to shoot it infinitely. But right now, you're not going to get those infinite crits, so just aim for the head. But this is going to be combined with the Nuclear Winter. So whenever we deal a damage, when we're inside the flux generator, we get bonus cryo damage. If we're outside it, we get bonus radiation damage. This can be used to trigger neutron decay. But the best part is that the excited state here is that whenever we hit an enemy with our action skill, the next shot becomes an automatic critical hit. Whenever we take Nuclear Winter and 1 point of excited state, every single shot that we fire is action skill damage, which causes it to be a critical hit. It's pretty crazy though. We're going to want to take Meltdown though, so critical hits with guns will deal bonus radiation damage. So now we're coming together to get that neutron decay to scale up really quickly. And after that, we're going to go with some excited state. So taking that all the way up to the 5 points because that extra critical hit damage is amazing. We're then going to grab distributive function. Now, this will give us overshield. I like to take 5 points and 1 point here because lifesteal is really nice too if we end up breaking your shield. These combine together to give us a good amount of survivability, but we're mainly taking this so that we can come down and take group study. So when you pop your ultimate, you're going to be able to get these Halo sidekicks that follow you around, and they're going to set up Nuclear Winter so that you always will have excited state popping off. You can also activate this again, giving even further gun damage, fire rate, and all those buffs that you see there. It's nice, but I typically just use this so that it'll home in and give us that Nuclear Winter a lot easier. Now you can venture into the green skill tree for the last 20 levels here, but honestly, the green skill tree's final levels just have some of the best skills in the entire game, like decoherence. We deal increased damage with all sources to entangled enemies, and enemies inside of our flux generator will take further increased damage. This is bonus damage, so that means it's going to, if we scale up our damage with the neutron decay, it takes all of those bonuses. Now, after taking this, we can come down, and there's a couple great choices here. So, feedback loop, when we entangle an enemy, we get increased action skill damage, skill duration, and cooldown rate. This can stack up. This is pretty nice because this is something we're doing very often, and that action skill damage can be pretty meaningful. I prefer taking latent charge first. Whenever Harlowe deals bonus damage with guns, melee attacks, and action skills when she has overshield, she's going to do a bonus damage of up to 50% damage dealt. This is pretty crazy because we're going to have overshield quite frequently, especially if using the Watch for Dinner, which did receive a little nerf, but it also did get an increase to its shield capacity. After latent charge, we're going to take a single point into the runaway reaction, so we get increased status effect application chance, and whenever we apply a status effect to an enemy, they become entangled. So yeah, we apply statuses really easily. Furthermore, with a class mod adding cryo damage, bonus cryo damage, which is a kill skill, this becomes pretty silly in the amount of statuses we can apply to an enemy, entangling them endlessly. So you do have the option of taking feedback loop here, so that gives you those nice boosts, but I've also experimented around with creative overflow. We'll deal increased gun damage based on our overshield. The more overshield, the bigger the bonus. That's 36% gun damage there. And again, we're going to have overshield often because we deal so much damage that this ends up being a good choice. And then you can put the final 5 points into refraction. Harlowe and her allies gain ricochet chance against entangled enemies, which is pretty much everything that we're fighting. Critical hits double this chance. Ricochets deal reduced damage. So with that, it's 30%, 60% with the critical hit, and it does half damage. This is a pretty large boost to our DPS when we're mobbing. You may not notice it as much during bosses, but it's a good choice. Alternatively, there is feedback loop there. And there's also action at a distance. Whenever we apply status effects, we can also apply that to every entangled enemy at a 50% rate, but getting the crits and the ricochets is just a bit better. Now, Harlow's best new class mod is the phlebotomist here, so whenever the action skill is active, dealing gun damage to an enemy has a chance to cause hemorrhage, which will deal kinetic status effect damage based on damage dealt. Hemorrhage deals twice as much damage to bosses. This is just a flat out boost to our DPS. It's pretty crazy. I don't have the best rolls on this. I like the skill rolls, but the damage rolls are not amazing. Submachine gun damage when I'm not using them is not super ideal outside of the Dark Beast there, but that +5 to unstable isotope is really nice because with that, it means that we're going to be doing an additional 35% cryo damage, so you can freeze targets, slowing them down without having to do anything other than take out an enemy. This is a kill skill that lasts for 8 seconds, and in boss fights, that's more than enough. We also got from that class mod 2 points into Cyclotron, which gives us the increased fire rate. We can really benefit from any increases to our fire rate, so we'll obviously take that happily. If you don't have the phlebotomist from the new DLC, you can even just go with the good old-fashioned scientist class mod. The reactor actually just got a change. It's a little worse now, but this also can come with points into decoherence, giving yourselves even further bonus damage. That's probably the true best choice if you don't have the phlebotomist. And there's even like the radiologist as well, but I found that getting decoherence is so good. And the Watts for dinner. Now this shield did end up, I'm not sure where the green one was showing up there. This shield ended up getting a bit of a nerf buff. It has way more capacity now. That's great. It did lose a bit of the chance to drop energy shields to boost up your overshield, which means that we have less uptime on our damage skills, but I found from testing it didn't really matter a whole lot. If you don't want to use that, the protein cell also got a buff. It has a huge capacity now. Fireworks is the best shield for mobbing by far. Cinder Shelly's fun too. And the Super Soldier's good too for that ammo regeneration and movement speed. I enjoy using this one too, but I personally like the Watts for dinner. We're going to go with a few different enhancement here. Now, the Stud Finder is good if you're using any of the Torque pistols, as this one's pretty crazy, but any dataless ones are going to be pretty effective because there's a lot of good dataless guns, the BOD, but I really like the Dark Beast. And with this, you can get a plus 50% fire rate, which makes it shoot really fast. And when you have infinite ammo, it just gives you insane amounts of damage. If you want to use a COV weapon, you can get one that's going to give the critical hit damage when overheating and use the Golden God. It works pretty well in this build. Vladoff too, if you want to use something like the Wombo combo. And my favorite is going with like the Quintain there, giving yourself that increased ricochets with Jacob pistols or Jacob's weapons is amazing because we're going to be using a lot of Jacob's weapons and getting more ricochets is amazing. Now, ordnance wise, the Heimdall is just by far the best choice. Harlowe can also get infinite ordnance, which is crazy. What's good about this is that you can fire off 2 of them before any of the bosses come out, and then they're just going to be flying around shooting at the enemies. And this lets you set up and get extra damaging because then when the boss comes out, you can switch to your main weapon, shoot at them, and then wait until you want to use a Heimdall again, and then you're going to get the infinite ammo on it. So pretty effective. I also like the critical hit knife, obviously pretty nice if you don't want to, if you're earlier in the game, but late game, the business tip dagger ends up being the best choice, especially with a radiation one, because you can give yourself that extra damage on the radiation. And this is also really good on the red skill tree Harlowe as well. You can use the Atling gun or the disc jockey, but the Heimdall is just so crazy good. For a Repkit, I think triple bypass just still be one of the better choices. Unless you get a kill spring, the kill spring is going to be your probably best in slot. I just have this one with high caliber 3, so I rolled with it and it gets the amp on it. But I'm not using now with caffeine, so this doesn't really matter as much. And the war paint or the kill spring's probably a little bit better. Now for our firmware, high caliber just ends up being the best choice in a lot of situations because bullets piercing is great because if you got a Jacob's weapon, it can pierce and then it can ricochet as well. It's pretty insane. Now, if you don't have that, 3 points in a Deadeye would be best for the increased critical hit damage because we do a lot of crits. So 3 points Deadeye, 2 high caliber works really well. The get out of jail free card is not really like my favorite choice, but it'd probably be Deadeye 3. I just find firmware so frustrating to move around. If you really want to min-max, it'd probably be Deadeye 3, 2 high caliber. But I'm just going to roll 3 high calibers. It fits really well on every build. Now for weapons, there's a lot of great ones. I'm a big fan of the Mantra. You do get this from Bloom Reaper. Jacob's Ripper and a Maliwan Switcher is pretty crazy, but even if you just had Jacob's and the Maliwan Switcher, that's still really good. It comes stock with the Maliwan, but this is going to deal melee damage, which becomes pretty crazy when you use a certain specialization, the Bare Arms, which will add 50% of your gun damage increases. So those skill trees that give 50% damage actually give 75% damage to the Mantra. It's pretty good. I also like the Dark Beast. This one will naturally pierce and it does explosions, so it's great against Bloom Reaper. It also can come with Jacobs, and I got the shotgun loader, which means it shoots shotguns, and whenever you hit the shotgun version of this, you can basically get your action skill back immediately using the confirmative reality skill here. So yeah, it triggers this really quick because it's a fast firing shotgun. Or SMG, I guess, a bit of both. Hellwalker, it's got a pretty big buff. It got a huge, I think, 22% damage boost, which didn't seem like a lot at the time, but after testing it out, this thing is crazy. The Hellwalker is a lot of fun, Doom Eternal reference, and it's a powerful weapon for fire damage bosses, or anything that's weak to fire damage. Scoot and Shoot, still one of the better weapons. You can get a Jacobs and a Ripper part on it, but I've been grinding for that for so long I just gave up on it. It can come with elemental rolls as well. The Laser Cutter also got a bit of a buff, which is a great weapon. The Flash Cyclone is probably the other good SMG to use alongside the Dark Beast. It can come with Ripper and Jacobs, and it's a cryo weapon, but we already got a cryo covered, so you may not want to use that. The Unstable Core got a buff. It's just not good to use. The Falker is pretty powerful too. I really like the Falker weapon. The Shalashka, this weapon's probably the best in the entire game. Really, really powerful. And Body and Clyde also got a buff. The shotgun now does a bit more damage. This is one of my favorites. It is actually a very strong weapon. Then pair this with our specializations. Now, Bare Arms is only relevant if you're using the Mantra shotgun to give it a big boost to its damage. Otherwise, you'd want to use something Bullet Train, or you can even use Get Out or Now with Caffeine. If you end up using your action skill and you can't shoot anything to get it back, you can just spam your Repkits to get it back. I also like Contamination. Critical hits will give increased stats effect application chance. Since we're doing infinite crits, we're going to have that increased application chance of 100%, which is great. It's a good feedback loop, and that's a skill that we have in our skill tree. I also like Hone Mind, giving our action skills a chance to critically hit enemies. I Am a Gun will add 50% extra, or 50% of the gun damage increases under our action skill. It's great. And then we also have Riddle You This, giving ourselves plus 50% gun damage, which is truly like 75% on our other, our action skill and our weapons like the Mantra. And if you really want to focus on Ordnance, there are things like the Full Spectrum Arsenal, which does the same. And this works really well because heavy ordnances also count as guns. So similar to the Mantra, you get 1.5 times whatever gun damage increase you got. And then Fragmented Payload will give you crit chance. So to give you an idea what this looks like in combat, we can just melt health bars like this. Yeah, he doesn't stand a chance. I may as well put this into true mode just because this build hits hard, and this will scale up the enemy's health by 4 times. All right, so here's pretty much the same thing in the true mode. So you can see it has a lot more health, but we're just dishing out so much damage. We have a pretty crazy overshield as well, so that we're actually going to be doing all that extra bonus damage. And then whenever the health drops down like that, we can then bring out like the Hellwalker, which is a really great weapon for those red health bars. And then using something like the Dark Beast, typically you want to get an enemy taken out first so you get that extra cryo damage on them. But you can see we're shredding through that health bar there, and as soon as that goes down, we can then take out the Hellwalker to shred through this health bar. This boss has fire damage resistance this time around, and we're still doing it fine. And then with the Scoot and Shoot, you can then just scale up your damage to an insane amount because it's going to create these ghost guns anytime that you pop out. So yeah, if you get in the right position, you can actually do some pretty incredible damage whenever you reload. I'm using the sticky version of this, so stickies will get nerfed, but you're going to see here, as soon as I swap it there, it's just going to start melting away its health bar pretty quickly there. So yeah, that is crazy. That will get nerfed, so I'll show you the Torg Impact one, which is not getting nerfed here, which is a little bit more direct damage because you're just going to be shooting off these exploding rounds, and then you see there, it's actually shredding this boss pretty quickly. So yeah, the Scoot and Shoot is a really great weapon that is getting nerfed in one particular way with the stickies, but the impacts are still amazing. And that is the Heimdallr there. So yeah, it's pretty strong too. Let me know your thoughts on this Harlowe build in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and stay tuned for some more Borderlands 4 content. I'm really excited for the newest content to drop in a couple weeks time, so you can stay tuned for videos on that, and hope you guys all have a great day.